So we talked about how to reach decision makers. What does it take to connect with decision makers? So in order to connect with decision makers, we need to recognize that most decision makers don't want to spend time with your sales team anymore until they're very, very far along in the buyer's journey. There is one exception to that. The exception is if they see your sales team as consultants instead of sales professionals. And the way that you demonstrate and show up that you have that kind of expertise at the risk of getting a little bit meta is to do things like this. To truly understand for your most and second most important buyer personas what their biggest goals and their challenges are, and build a webinar and a live stream program where you're doing events like this at least once a month. You could potentially hold virtual events if you have national or global reach and you want to go across a lot of time zones. I'm relatively certain with this particular audience that we're crossing multiple continents by using virtual events. If your audience is more hyper focused, hyper local, or you're going to do a roadshow or something like that, then yeah, you're basically doing like an offline kind of webinar. But in order to reach decision makers in the most effective way possible, show up as a consultant, show up as a subject matter expert, show up as a teacher and a trusted advisor, and then it becomes a very natural call to action for someone to raise their hand showing signs of interest. And of course, you need to think about what a logical next step is. For a lot of people, it's like a free assessment or free diagnostic or free needs analysis or something like that. But it depends on the nature of your business model. If you're selling something, let's say you're selling a training workshop that's at a relatively modest price point, most people that sample a free event like that will be in a position following that to go right into the sign up. If you're selling hyperscale data centers where it's an 8-figure, 9-figure kind of commitment, then yeah, of course, there's a very different kind of expectation as to when your sales team gets involved. But the key part of being able to connect with decision makers is don't try to force it with outbound calls trying to book meetings. You're so much better off if you can get the decision committee organically attending these events and let the value that you're providing be what gets you on the radar screen of the decision maker or decision makers. That's the other big thing too, is that so many people think if they can just get 5 minutes with the CTO or CTO, the CEO or CTO or CFO or COO, whoever you're selling to, that things will magically happen. Can assure you, it does work that way sometimes, but most of the time they're going to kick it back to their team because most bosses really don't want to make decisions without the consensus on their team anymore. So being able to have this commitment to showing up as the go-to experts in your space and allowing that to do the heavy lifting with opening the doors is really, I still am baffled that there's companies that still want to pay door openers in this world where they're like, we just want to pay you for you to introduce us to your Rolodex. And they're literally using the word like Rolodex, which like I'm dating myself that I started my career when there actually was these little cards sitting on this little spinning wheel on a desk that people use to find, but they basically want access to your best contacts in your CRM that are a good fit for them. And the problem with all of that is the trust needs to be built up by the company that actually is looking to do business with them. So the introduction only goes so far. The key with all of this is get to them early in the journey. Get to them when they're just starting to have a goal that they're trying to figure out, when there's a problem that they're trying to solve, a question they're trying to answer. Intercept them early, stay with them throughout the full journey. That's the key to connecting with the decision makers, is when you show up and you're prematurely trying to force engagement or force marriage on someone that you hardly know. It's a funny Ashton Kutcher movie, right? You know, they go to Las Vegas and they get married on the first date, but it doesn't work well in considered purchase decisions for your sales team. So the better job you can do with getting in early, getting in often, getting in the right context, getting away from just being focused on the transaction, all of this works so much better.